Typically, we use benchmarking for a combination of three reasons. To objectively assess for ourselves whether we have the right level of resources. To advocate or defend to others, like management, finance, or procurement, that you need to attain or maintain the right level of resources. And to understand what actions are needed to get to that right level. And so benchmarking should be treated as an operational tool and not some oracle of truth, because like any tool, if used incorrectly, it can produce distorted results. To actually get meaningful, practical guidance from the massive benchmarking, you need to apply three basic principles, an ABC if you will. A. Accuracy and completeness of your own data for comparison. For illustration, I could ask, am I in a healthy weight range according to medical benchmarks, but I exclude the weight of my left arm and right leg when I get on the scales? Clearly the result makes no sense, because benchmarking compares the totality of each case. But we know that sometimes HR, finance, procurement, or local management engage legal resources outside of legal department tracking, even despite a company policy that says that legal has to be involved. As this activity still has to be included to provide an accurate benchmarking comparison of an entire business's legal activity. You don't just leave out the odd limb because you don't directly control it. Our analysis of clients shows that the total legal spend can be as much as 34% higher than the budget controlled by the legal department alone. And the same thoroughness has to be applied to one-off exceptional items. As a veteran lawyer, I'm no longer surprised at how one-offs occur every year. They may be different each year, but comparing overall activity over, say, 2 to 4 years will give you a more accurate picture of whether that binge you had over the holiday season was truly exceptional. B. Business behavior, positioning and policy. Your company may be at the median benchmark level or in the highest or lowest quartiles, but this doesn't definitively mean it's in a positive or negative position. Business behavior, positioning and policy towards its cost structure, its risk environment, and the consequences of things going wrong will give benchmarks context. Let me illustrate. A high margin business with numerous existential legal risks should typically deploy legal resources in a higher quartile, whereas a relatively low margin business with fewer, less consequential legal risks should be positioned in a lower quartile. Both are appropriate positions. Now, as lawyers, we're trained to treat all of our legal risks as the most consequential imaginable, but the reality is that everything is relative and that not all business behaviors are equal. For example, look at variations of employee compensation, even between direct competitors, where businesses deliberately position themselves higher or lower in the market as a matter of policy to achieve different goals, and legal resources are the same. C. Connecting and counterbalancing the benchmark results. Individual benchmarks mean little in isolation. You might, for example, credit a car for its rapid acceleration until you connect that data point to its poor fuel consumption. So it's essential to connect different benchmarks to draw reliable conclusions. Here, the client's low quartile lawyer per billion staffing might seem economical in isolation, but when connected to its high quartile external spend because the low quartile in-house team couldn't cope, the full picture shows what we call a false economy model. And finally, benchmarking only covers the resource inputs of the equation, such as costs and headcount. To fully judge whether these levels are correct, the resulting quantity and quality of legal outputs have to be measured and counterbalanced, the degree to which legal work is being covered, levels of compliance, and client satisfaction. Our analyses show that legal functions typically only achieve 50% of their essential workload, and the cost of non-compliance is 3 times the cost of the resource inputs. So the most typical performance picture is more challenging, as many of you will know from daily experience.